Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek Motivation.
Let's go!
Wow. I was not sure that was going to work because this thing is like having a heart attack right now. That's really fun. I don't know. I didn't even say like everything's going great. It just, we'll see how that's going to go. Oh, well. Well, hey, welcome to Midweek Motivation, Real Conversations.
If it's real or not.
Right? It's like all fake. Oh, we're on. We're live. Yeah,
You
trust
never
me.
say anything.
It's live.
It's just, here it is.
That's half the fun. That's because I know we're live, but nobody else knows we're live. That's very fun. Welcome to Midweek Motivation, Real Conversations with Real People about a very real God. This is our second episode this week, which is probably the first time we've ever, it's definitely the first time we've ever done 2 episodes in a week. If you were here Sunday or if you joined us online, you got to see our very first live episode. And I'm going to tell you, I got some mixed feelings about doing the show live with people in
With the
front
studio audience.
right? Doing it with the studio audience is a different animal. And there on one hand, there was parts of it that was fun.
Yeah.
Right? Some of it was fun. But man, especially first hour, I love our 9 a.m. crowd.
Mm-hmm.
They were not sure what was going on. They had no idea. They're great, well-meaning
That was kind
people.
of the point.
Right. They had no clue what was going
Yeah.
on. And it was our first time. Like, we were still not 100% sure how it was going to go and how things were going to get started. But it ended great.
Yeah.
Right? It went great.
When y'all stopped talking and the sermon started.
When we were done, it was great. But
No, I have to say Rob was the star of
Rob, you mean Parkway?
Parkway Peter. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I made that. I think somebody said it. I can't remember who said it. We got done with first hour. It's like, most people probably don't actually know his name is Rob.
Yeah.
So nobody
There were
got
so
that.
many
Just-
jokes made about it too, and everybody's like, okay.
Yeah. So in case you were wondering,
Surprisingly, though, people did laugh at that, which
People
I
did
wasn't
laugh.
expecting. Yeah.
it took him a minute. It definitely
It's
took
hard
people.
to get a laugh out of people, even with something really funny, like especially at 9.
Yeah, 9 a.m.'s early.
Even Dustin, I mean, lots of times it's crickets.
Well, and Dustin's a pretty easy person to laugh at
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Not
laugh
his
at him all the
jokes, but
time,
Just him.
Just him in general.
Yeah.
especially when he makes his fake organ sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That, I'll tell you what, that is a thing that caught on.
We should have had the real organ, I think.
That's what I told him. Is
We
got
have the
2
capabilities.
keyboards on
Right.
stage
Yeah.
that could do
It
that.
would have been really easy.
Right? Would have
Had
been
he
perfect.
Let you know, like you guys could have done that.
Normally, he's pretty good about those things because that is the thing I guarantee you he came up with in a specific room in the house with some porcelain, right? That is absolutely an idea that he would have come up with in the bathroom, right? I don't know that for a fact, but that feels like the truth.
Right
Yeah.
before the service? Or?
I mean, it could have been right before the service. That's fair. But that also seems like an idea of like, one day I'm gonna say something and it'd be really great to have an organ behind me, right? Which there's a couple of times like I would have loved to have you in the drum cage on Sunday while we were on stage. Like would have
Just gotta
really
let me
made the
know.
jokes land,
Yeah.
right? This is a thought I have now, 3 days too late.
Oh, wow, we should have had him in the whole
That's what we
thing.
missed. That's really what we missed.
That was that was
And you know what I was thinking? It dawned on me second hour, like halfway through, right? You know what it felt like more than Midweek Motivation?
What?
It felt like we were doing a bad version of SNL's Weekend Update.
Mm.
That's what I realized halfway
Gotta
through. It was
roll
like,
the chair in.
and I don't think it was intentional, but I think I was like trying to make it that,
Yeah.
right? I think I was just, and I'm halfway through it, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm trying to do Weekend Update right now, like with my jokes to Rob and things like we have somebody that everybody knows is not this person pretending to be this person, and we're making dumb jokes about it. And
Well, you were the one that completely had to wing it. I mean, we had a script, and you.
there was a script.
Really?
And I'll tell you what, I watched back the, oh gosh, I don't know what that did. Oh, good. I watched back the first hour, and sitting between you guys was the right move. You guys needed to be where you were sitting, right? It helps the cameras. That way you guys can be the conversation. And I was just there to make it midweek motivation, right? It was perfect. It was great. The problem is what I realized, I'm watching it back, and I'm just doing this. Like the whole time, just turning. And then so second hour, I tried to change it up a little bit and tried to, be a little more like turn this way and a little bit less obvious of like, I'm just turning my head back and forth and back and forth because we were pressed for time and we went way too long both times. And I felt bad because I usually give Dustin a hard time about talking too much. And then,
That's the midweek way, though.
Right, exactly.
Get cut off,
right?
because you have too much to say.
Wouldn't be midweek without that.
Right, and we had to go chase down a singer for a microphone. That was fun.
That was a little bit of a panic moment on my part, but I was like, no, I'm just going to sit down.
Right?
I don't have a
and it
mic,
was perfect. And I even told Chase before we went out, I said, look, I need Ashley's microphone. If she doesn't remember, I don't care if you have to tackle her. I need that microphone. And he went after it, brought it out. So,
Good job, Chase.
right, way to go, Chase. We should probably get Chase on midweek sometime. I think that would be interesting. That would
He's
be
got all the
what's
stage
like
crew dirty
backstage?
secrets. Yeah, he's the OG stage crew.
right. Well, yeah, he really
Seen
is.
a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're I think we're up to like 7 people on stage crew now, which is just wonderful. But see, the problem is I keep getting people on stage crew, and then they keep
Get
like
cherry picked.
doing other things that are really important, and they're really good at other things,
That's
like-
where I started.
right? And then
Yeah.
now we stuck you in the cage and just haven't let you out.
Yeah, but
There-
I prefer that.
Well, there was that one week we let you out, and you were just gonna sit in the congregation and just be a part of it, and you're like,
So
no,
give me a camera or something.
I'm gonna play guitar.
Oh yeah,
Like, okay, sure, why not? Like, man, I guess you can serve Jesus. That's okay.
yeah.
Why not? We'll let you do that. Well, hey, hopefully you saw the service on Sunday. It was a great day. If you haven't watched it back, go and watch it back. It was a
Great quality.
great day. And the sketch with Parkway Peter I thought was great. It was I like that Dustin called out at the end of like, this is silly, but here's why we're doing this. Because when the first time he explained it to me, I was like, I don't know about this. Like,
Another great Dustin idea.
yeah, like it's one of those things like, Dustin, I get that it sounds great in your head, but I don't see it, right? And I was wrong. It turned out great. I think, Megan, your idea of doing it as an episode of Midweek was fantastic. That was super fun.
Otherwise, I would have been just a reporter.
Right.
Like, I'm thinking, how am I going to interview Parkway Peter? So, yeah. That's
It
where
made
the
so
midweek
much more
idea
sense.
came
It was
from.
super fun. And, we talked about, John Brunk had the great idea of like, what if we did it in the midweek booth and just piped into the service? Like, that's a great idea. But no, because there's too many things that could go wrong.
So many things.
But it would have been real fun.
Yeah.
It would have been fun. But I like doing it on stage. That was enjoyable.
Well,
But-
and it was a nice way to wrap up. Like, it was kind of a heavy, it was a heavy 4 weeks,
Yeah.
So to lighten it up a little bit and help people, like, have a practical understanding of, like, why did we go through all this in the first place? It's because we want to see a change in the culture and the mind shift of people
Yeah.
about, missions in general. Like, the best line of the whole thing is missions is for the missions people. And that's a lot of people's understanding of missions is it's optional because missions is for the missions people. So I think that little bit of fun, it just kind of painted the picture that, like, no, we all have a part to play in missions.
Yeah.
Isn't just for the missions people. And it was a fun way of doing it. And Rob was pretty funny. I mean, that Ninja Turtle comment about the thing on the cruise, I didn't write that. He threw that in there. So
Yeah, we don't
that was
usually need
good.
to write much for Rob when
No.
we do those. We usually just kind of you can kind of just give Rob an idea. Like,
I'll run with it.
yes. Oh, and it's so easy to play off of him.
He
He's
didn't
so
miss
good
a
at it.
thing. I mean, he got it all. So
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. We'll probably do stuff more like that. It probably won't be the last live episode of Midweek we ever do. It would probably be worth doing it again. But it was a little intimidating for a minute. It took me
I'm
a
used
second to
doing
get used to that.
announcements sometimes, so I have my little tricks you don't really have to look at people's faces.
Mm-hmm.
You find the one person that's smiling,
Yeah.
and you look at them, or you just look at the very back and you kind of glaze your eyes over,
Right.
so you can't really see anybody. You're just kind of looking out at the general space.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice. Public speaking tips from Megan Gahima. Fantastic.
Yep.
In case you needed those, there they are.
So we're talking about prayer today, right?
Are we talking about prayer? We should probably talk about prayer. That's what
Why
we're here
I'm
for.
here to get you on track.
Well, before we get to prayer, you recently got back from across the world.
I did, yeah.
Can you tell us where you went and what you saw?
One of those mission people things.
One of those
Yeah,
mission people
one of those
things.
People think that's exactly what it
And,
was.
at first, I should point out, because you won't say this, but you were asked to be a representative of our district, right, at this event.
A representative of the general conference.
Of the general
Yeah.
conference of the North American General Conference of the Wesleyan Church.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I figured I would clarify that way, because I figured you wouldn't toot your own horn about that,
No.
right? But you were chosen and asked to come, right, as a representative of the North American Conference of the Wesleyan Church. Yes. I had to say that right.
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, tell us where you were.
So I went to Johannesburg, South Africa, which is a place I'd never been before. And yeah, it was a really amazing experience, because not only were there people there from the States representing the North American General Conference, but there was people from all over the world representing their areas of the world. And the Wesleyan Church is, it's a global church, and there was about 400 people there from 50 countries.
Yeah.
So we worshiped together. There was lots of testimonies from different leaders around the world, and there were sermons. And I mean, I think the main point of it was like, let's do this together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a global church and as a global denomination, let's reach the unreached together.
Yeah.
So it was very inspiring, and yeah, it was an honor to be a part of it.
That's cool. And you got to go on safari. Got to do some
Well,
African
yeah,
things.
Stayed an extra day, yeah, and had a fun day. So we weren't too far away from a national park. So yeah, I got to see my favorite animal, the giraffe.
Do you want to
Mother.
show them the hand
No.
motion? We'll save that.
Yeah, we'll save.
We'll save that just for
another
staff
show.
meeting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool that you got to go along with our district superintendent,
Yeah,
Janet.
I did. Yeah.
You guys got to go and be representatives of the general church, and I think maybe it's just our area, and but it feels like I'm hearing more and more the church and is moving towards more of a global perspective, right? And maybe that's just the benefit of technology is we've got more options, to be together. But hearing you talk about being at the international conference and that experience, and something else that's coming up here that I think got announced maybe a year ago or so. Something called Gather 25. If you're not familiar with it, you can go to gather25.com. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right.
I double check.
So this is a conference that was born out of the If Gathering. Courtney's been a part of the If Gathering for several years, doing the simulcast, and sometimes been able to partner with different churches and different organizations that are hosting it, which started as a women's conference, right? Right. Lisa Turkers, is that who it is?
No, Jenny Allen.
Jenny Allen, that's it. I mix them all up, right? I mix up all these great speakers. But this conference was born out of this idea of what would it be like if we just gathered all the Christians around the world together on one day? Like, what kind of impact could we have if we were all worshiping God at the same time, all in one day?
Yeah.
And so they were able to pool some resources together, and
A lot of resources.
a whole lot of
Yeah.
resources across the entire world.
Yes.
And I was telling Cody about it earlier. It's like, yeah, they're worshiping on every continent. And I thought about it, I was like, maybe not Antarctica. Are we hosting anything
Probably
there?
not, yeah.
Maybe there's some research teams that
Maybe.
are studying penguins, and we'll be hosting something. Or you know.
Yeah, definitely not Antarctica. I don't remember that being one of the.
Yeah, so
wild
all the
places,
inhabited
but-
continents.
All the good ones.
Yeah. But you can go to Gather 25. You can see all the details there. We'll be hosting a site here, a
Gather
Roanoke
group.
site, a
Yep.
Gather group. That's right.
Yep.
We've been able to partner with some of our local area churches that we like to partner with.
That's right.
One Roanoke is a big part of that. They've been kind of the glue, right, bringing churches together. And then we've got several other churches that are jumping in and going to be a part of that as well.
Yep.
So if you know of churches that should be involved, you have friends at other churches that, talk to them. See if they've heard of this. If they haven't heard about it, tell them all about it because we want to pack the house out. We've got 1,000 seats that we can fit in, and we've got some ways to fit more people in if we have to. So there's enough believers in Roanoke that there's no reason that the church shouldn't be full.
Oh yeah.
Right?
We wanted to do the Berglund Center.
Yes, we wanted
Like,
to, as soon as we heard about it.
every person from every church can just come together for one night. Like, it's not going to fit inside of any church that's
Right.
here in Roanoke. But anyway, sports seems to be pretty important in early March, and all of the big arenas or civic centers or whatever are already booked. But anyway, that's how we came to host it. But prayer, worship, repentance, and commissioning. So not only we're going to get together and like pray and worship together in, one big group of multiple denominations, but to send people out after that. Like, we have a world to reach with the gospel. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think the coolest thing about it is it's not a Parkway event.
No.
Like, it's not something that we're putting on. It's not our worship team. It's not, it's not even like our leadership team preaching or anything like that. It's the church.
Yeah.
And there are too many churches in Roanoke for this not to be a big event, right? And, certainly there are churches that we disagree about certain things, but the reality is we agree on Jesus.
Right.
And we agree that people need to know him, right? And if we can just put aside everything else, even just for one night, like we can stop arguing about music and other things.
And fog.
Right, and fog.
Oh, are we going to do fog that night?
I
That's a
don't
good
know.
question.
I'll talk to Tabby. So our friends from the Well, another women's ministry in Roanoke, mainly Roanoke, right?
Yeah, they do a Monday night women's gathering at different churches once a month, I think.
Yeah, they come here every year. They tell you what, they are a lot of fun. They're cool people to work with. So we get to see them I get to see them every year when they come here. But they'll be leading us in worship. We'll spend some significant time in prayer. The coolest thing and part I'll say I'm nervous and excited for is that we get to simulcast and be able to stream in with what the worship gatherings happening around the world. And on the technology side, I'm really excited that we're doing something like that. But then on the other side, I'm like, what if it doesn't
There's
work
always
right?
a problem.
So, that's just, my problem to
It's going to be great.
deal with, and it'll be good. I think the coolest thing is we get to worship at the end of that, so we get to like cherry pick any of the cool,
That's right,
the cool worship gatherings that happen, and so we'll be able to pipe in worship from all across the world in different languages and worship along with them. So. Wanted to make sure we talk about Gather 25 because there are people that are in your life that go to other churches, right here in Roanoke, other churches across the United States, across Virginia, whatever it is, that don't know about it, and they need to know about it. There's nothing but good things can come from believers gathering to worship Jesus, right? Only good things can come from that, right? So the more we do that, the more the name of Jesus is going to be lifted up and honored, and the more we stop and pray for people to come to meet Jesus, right? The more people are going to come to know him. So we get to be a part of that, and all you got to do is show up.
What day
Right.
is it?
Do have to register.
Oh, I should tell them that.
And yeah, you need to know the day.
Yeah, so March 25th?
March 1st.
March 1st, yeah. The 25th is about 24 days after, naturally. So
You'll miss it.
yeah.
By a lot.
And that when you tell people about events, don't you always tell them what's 24 days after it? Isn't that a normal
Most
thing?
of the time.
Yeah, no. Okay, I want to make sure it wasn't just me. March 1st, right here in Roanoke
Yes.
at Parkway.
There's a registration link. So
There is a registration link. If you go to parkwayroanoke.com, probably in there somewhere. And if not, I should talk to the guy that is works on the website. He could probably make it happen. If not, it is on Facebook. You can go to Gather 25. I think it's Gather 25 Roanoke, something like that. If you search Gather 25, you'll find us in there.
Yeah.
But it'll be all over our website. We'll have it on our socials and all that stuff. But share that with somebody. You do need to register because it is going to be a packed out house. There's no cost, but it is going to be a packed out house. And we don't need the fire marshal to shut us down. Right? So we'll take as many people as we can. But we just want to make sure we invite you to that. All right. Have we covered Gather 25? Everybody's coming to Gather 25 now, right?
I gathered that.
You gathered that? Now that we spent 10 minutes talking about Gather 25, and now that I've got the date right, it is March 1st, right? Only March 1st.
I've just sent you the website, Darren.
Oh, fantastic.
I want to pop it on there.
Let's see if I can put it in here. I promise I plan these shows most of the time. Oh, wait a minute. While I'm looking for that, do you guys know what today is? It's a very special day.
Is it your birthday?
No, but that's...
Is it
I don't even
Cody's
know.
birthday?
No.
It's not Cody's birthday. It is
I don't even know
somebody's
what day
birthday.
it is.
It is a special day in the Chilson household. My youngest son turns 6 today.
Christian.
Right? Christian is 6 now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
how
I know.
possible
That's
is that?
terrifying. There's a reason I don't have any hair. But yeah, Christian's 6. So,
Happy birthday, Christian.
right? Happy birthday to Christian.
Buddy.
He was excited. So every year, since Hudson was like, this has nothing to do with anything, but just I saw a picture of my kid and he's cute, so we're going to talk
He
about
is very cute.
every year since Hudson was like 3 or 4, on their birthday, they get to pick any place they want to go eat for breakfast. It started out as birthday breakfast, right? They could pick, and it's just me and them, one of them, whoever's birthday it is. They get to be late to school. They get to go pick out, wherever they want to eat. And so Christian, I asked him, I was like, hey, where do you want to go for breakfast? And he wanted McDonald's because he wanted pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you think of pancakes, what restaurant comes to mind?
An international house of
Right?
such pancakes.
One that has it in the name,
Yeah.
right?
Denny's or something like
Right? Most other things. But he wanted McDonald's.
McDonald's pancakes.
He wanted McDonald's pancakes of all things, right?
He's so cute.
Yes, he's adorable. But we got to go have birthday breakfast this morning,
Aw, how
and it was good fun. Yes, those are always good times. So, dads, you can always find a reason to have food, right? And your kids are a great reason to sit down and eat some.
And when you have a
Terrell
lot
McDonald's.
of them, then it's lots of birthday
You
breakfasts.
know what's the best thing is, Hudson, as he's gotten older, he has graduated from birthday breakfast, and he's changed it a couple of times. Like one year it was birthday wings, which was just delicious. And then another year he said, what if we did birthday calzones? So we went out to Salem, went to Mac and Bob's,
Oh, yeah.
got the big old Boston
That's the best.
zone. Oh, and if you
Buffalo
live in
chicken.
Roanoke and you've never had a Boston zone from Mac and Bob's, please go. Like today.
We used to drive from Lynchburg when I was in college and I was from Roanoke and never knew of it, but my Lynchburg friends knew of it, so we'd come back and get the Boston's.
It's shocking how many Roanoke people have never been there. Delicious, right? Little restaurant, very local, great little spot in Salem. Delicious. If you like cheese and
Buffalo chicken.
buffalo chicken in a calzone, it's like a whole pizza crust that they just fold over
the size of this
and
table.
stuff it. It's delicious.
I wasn't going to tell you this, but I know the chef there.
Do you now?
He's one of my relatives.
Ooh, does he want to, cater a staff meeting for us sometime?
I could ask him, actually.
That's what we need to do.
He is,
Can I be staff?
holidays when he cooks. It's,
Just for a day.
That's what we need. Actually, you know what? That's what we need. We need a staff chef. We don't have the budget for that.
well, maybe we should pray for one, which is the topic of our midweek motivation today.
I was even thinking earlier today, I was thinking, I should probably make it a shorter show. We've been going too long lately. It'll probably be a shorter show today. I don't think so. We'll see what happens.
12:23.
Right? Yeah. See, so it's shorter. We had Dustin on last week for the longest show.
Oh gosh.
Right?
Wow.
But I did want to kind of close up our conversation on prayer. So we've been talking through a little bit of Pray First, Chris Hodges. One of these days,
Not sponsored.
I'm gonna get a phone call. It's like, Darren, Chris Hodges, I would love to sponsor your show.
Love to be on Midweek.
It's $40 a year.
today.
Hey, I'll take it. We've never been sponsored. So if you do want to sponsor, we'll take it. Maybe Mac and Bob's will sponsor one day. If only we knew somebody. That would be
Maybe
wonderful.
we could go on the road one day to Mac and Bob's.
In the kitchen.
Sold.
Mac and Bob's in the kitchen edition.
I'm sold. But I did want to close up our conversation on prayer. So I've never done anything like 21 days of prayer and fasting before.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first time doing something along those lines. And there's something different about doing it corporately versus doing it by yourself, right?
Yeah.
That little bit of positive peer pressure, right, is helpful. And being on staff and being required to be there, right, is helpful. And Courtney and I were talking about like what habits are gonna continue after that, right? And I told her right off the bat, the 6 a.m. like being here at 6 a.m. and or a little bit
Ready
earlier
to
than
go.
that, like that's not going to be one of them, right? It was great, but sleeping past 4:30 on Monday was just the best thing in the world, right? It was fantastic, but it was a neat thing to be together. There was probably 30 or so of us that gathered very consistently, and there were several high school students that were here pretty much every week.
That was the most impressive thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Agree. Yeah.
Especially there was the first week we were doing it in person. They were out of school all week long.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't have to be anywhere. And, we had several of them that were, coming to sing or whatever, but then several that were just like, I'm going to come and be here.
Mm-hmm.
They were dedicated.
Right. Which, we always talk about our high school ministry and our student ministries here at Parkway are doing great things. And I think that's just more evidence of it. Right. But it was just neat to see that group of people committed every single day of we're going to stop and we're going to pray. And it was, I told Steffi this, and I'll just say it publicly, but there was a lot of great devotions given, and a lot of great things. But I told Steffi, I said, I've been in church a long time, but every time she speaks, I learn something.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not always the case with everybody, right? Everybody on our staff, especially that gave devotion or anything like that, always pick up something, right? It's not uncommon, right? Because our staff is just really great. And every volunteer or everybody that spoke, it was great, right? No shade on any of them. But every single time that Steffi speaks, I learn something. And when she was talking about the Lord's Prayer and things like, dang it, that's good. I've never thought of it like
So
that.
simple, but
Yeah.
very, very.
Yeah. So shout out to Steffi
Cool.
and everybody that was able to share a Devo there. But I wanted to kind of close up our 21 days of prayer and fasting with, a little bit of conversation on prayer. And I thought about we should just go until we're done with the book. We're not going to make it through this book because it's going to be 12 weeks and we could talk about prayer. But we'll close it up today and then we'll move on to something else. But I think one of the things that I think was most impactful for me that kind of sums up everything we talked about in our 21 days of prayer is two things. One big thing and a couple things under it is the time of prayer, right? How to break down the time that you spend in prayer. The big thing we hear about from people is how do I make the time to be in prayer, right? Because there were people that wanted to be at 21 days of prayer and for one reason or another couldn't, right? And legit reasons, not I sleep in, right?
Yeah.
I'm certain there were people that had that feeling too, I don't know if I can get up at 6 a.m., right? But people had to get kids on the bus to go to school in the morning. People are, headed to work. It just didn't work. There's a lot of logistical reasons.
Sure.
So it got me thinking about how often is time a barrier to our prayer life, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about how do we make time to pray?
I think the answer is you get up early. That's what I learned. You just get up early.
Yeah. Before you have a chance to get distracted or caught up in something else, you set
Everyone
aside
else is
time.
Sleep or
Yeah.
That's my simple answer. I don't know about y'all.
And the mornings in our house tend to be the thing that need the most prayer over.
Yeah.
So get ahead of it.
Yes.
Getting
Good point.
6 people
Good
out the
point.
door and 2 dogs taken care of
Mm-hmm.
before 6:30. Take some prayer.
Oh yeah, it is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
I've left my kids with my parents, like all 4 of them, and they've had to like get them up and things. My parents are fantastic parents, right? They're great, but you got to be in shape to do stuff like that.
Mhm.
To get any number of kids out the door early in the morning, like it is a feat, right? I mean, some people like even just getting yourselves out the door can be a challenge, right? So whether you're a morning person or not, like I think you're right, Megan. Like I think some measure has to be in the morning before the day starts, right? And it's I think if you're not a morning person, I think it's easy to say like, well, I'm just not a morning person. Like, well, most of us are not, good Jesus followers either until we become one, right? So I'll listen to all the arguing of like, I can't get up early and blah, 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 and all these things. Telling you, I think it's just better in the morning, right? You can fight me on that, but it's hard to do in the evening, right? Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't pray in the evening, right? But
It shouldn't be your first prayer.
right, it's probably not the first.
Good night, God. It's been a great day. No, I think what Steffi said is right. She mentioned in her devotional about, you wake up and that's how you start your prayer. But the prayer is throughout the whole day.
Yeah.
It's just the beginning of your day of prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we talk about morning, I think people hear that as like, oh, I got to get up at 4 a.m. and spend 2 hours in prayer. It's like, I mean, yeah, go for it. Like, that's not a bad thing. But I think even getting up 10 minutes, right? Start with 10 minutes earlier before the kids get up, before, you get distracted and look at your phone and do other things. Like, what if it was 10 minutes earlier, right? Everybody can wake up 10 minutes earlier. What if it's 5 minutes earlier? Just start that. Whatever it is, before you start getting distracted and going about your day, spend time with God, right? And it doesn't have to be like this deep, hour-long prayer. Like even if it's 10 minutes, like I think the key is something I kind of felt like was a common theme through our 21 days of prayer is intentionality, right? And I think that is the biggest part of what made that 21 days of prayer so meaningful was we were going to a place with a purpose, with a routine. Like every single day for 21 days, we showed up at this place, right? We got to sleep in a little bit on Sundays, right? But we're going to a place to do something specific, right? I think that's part of what makes it so powerful. I think the key is intentionality, right? So whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's an hour, whether it's 2 hours, like if you can get up and pray, for 2 hours,
God bless you.
yep, go for it. I'm telling you, I'm not. That is not my thing. But man, if you can schedule your life intentionally to allow for that, right? What a difference would it make? I'll tell you, I was tired, getting up, all those days, but I never regretted being here.
It's such a motivating, positive start to your day too. That if you are that person that just needs that to wake up 10 minutes earlier, like you can gain that 10 minutes back in productivity from your prayer time for sure.
Yeah. I think what helped me, I got up, got ready, and then I went outside, and it was 10 degrees, so there's no way I
That'll
was
wake you
going
up.
back to sleep after that. So I
Yeah.
think the key for me is like, yes, you get up earlier, but you can't sit there on your couch and also fall asleep praying. So, like, what is one thing you can do to actually, like, make sure you're awake? Like, okay, go take the trash out outside, or, have that cup of coffee, or whatever it is that, like, so I'm still working on that. Like, okay, I want to stay in this routine, and getting up earlier is easier now because my body is, like, I just wake up at 4:30 now.
Right.
I don't get up at 4:30 anymore because I don't have to. But what's that thing that can help you wake up as well before you start your prayers?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a quote in the book "Pray First" by Chris Hodges. It says this. It says the goal of being focused and committed to prayer is relationship, not religion. And I think when you start to think about, like, okay, how do I get up early? How do I have a good prayer life? Well, there's a lot of logistical things we talk about, like, like set your alarm, get up early, have a plan or whatever. There's all those logistical things. But if we don't have it centered on, okay, why am I doing this? Like, I know I'm supposed to. Like we talked about last week, most believers know they should pray more. Like, that's not a surprise to people. Like, if Dustin stood up on Sunday and was like, how many of y'all think we should pray more? Like, every hand should go up, right? Everybody knows that. And I don't even think it's necessary that people don't know how to pray better. Like, most people know how they could structure their lives in a way that they could pray more, right? That's not a real surprise. But I think the important thing and the difficult thing is to remember, well, why am I doing this, right? Why am I getting up at 4:30 every morning, driving across town when it's 10 degrees and icy, to go pray? Is it because it's my job and I'm on staff and the speakers won't work if I'm not there, right?
Partially.
There's a little bit. There is a little bit of that, right? But it's I'm building a relationship with my Creator, right? Because I think about it this way. So there are, Courtney and I have been married 15 years, and we've had a lot of great conversations, where, our kids are running around and like great conversations in groups with like other couples and things. But there's something different when you're having a conversation with just your spouse, right? And it's time where like you went away, we locked the kids in the basement, literally and figuratively sometimes, where the kids are gone. Like, we have threatened the children, like, you come upstairs, like, you're grounded for a month. Like, you do not exist in this house right now, right? You're not here. It's only Mom and I here. So pretend that you don't exist, right?
I like this
I'm so glad
idea.
I'm not the only one.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's been great. What's funny is when we moved into our house, there was a lock on the basement door. It's gone now because we replaced the door, but there was a lock on the basement door. And
outside.
It was on the outside, so we could literally lock the kids in the basement. We only ever did it as a joke. We never did it seriously. So CPS, I promise, we never actually locked our kids in the basement. But don't think we didn't think about it, right? But the idea is that intentionality, right? I have to spend time talking just the two of us, right? Talking in groups and being around our kids and fitting in a conversation while our kids are running around, like, that's important and that's going to happen, right? But the most important thing is, in order to continue to build that relationship with your spouse, it has to be like you and I. Yeah. That's it. Like, there's nobody else around. There's no distractions. We're not like, talking on Facebook. Talk on
You
Facebook.
sound old.
Oh my gosh, nothing. Talking about Facebook at all just makes me sound and feel old, right? But the point is, we have to get rid of those distractions and just actually schedule that time, right? Doesn't happen all the time, but we try to get rid of the kids and go out, and because if we're at home, we're trying to think about things that need to get fixed and cleaned and all that stuff, and then the children are always,
they're always there.
Children. They're always, nice and loud and all that good stuff. But I think it's the same thing that we need when it comes to prayers. You can't just like, all right, I should do this. I should get up 10 minutes early, and if I wake up early, I'll pray. Like, you have to set the alarm. You have to make it happen, right? But I think that's what's so important about doing that 21 days of prayer is it helps start that habit, right? Like, now it's not 4:30, right? But maybe it's, just that extra 10 minutes.
It helps to have a prompt too. I found that very helpful. Is that, okay, I'm going to pray about this today. Because sometimes you're like, okay, what do I pray for? And you not just want to pray for all of your things all the time. Like, so it's nice to have a topic to pray about. So whether that's starting with a prayer app where they get you started, pray for 5 minutes or whatever, and then you have something or a topic or a prompt to continue on with, so you're not like starting from nothing.
Not just like, what am I going to pray for next? Like, I prayed for my family, I prayed for all my children, and
God, you got anything?
What's next? Thank you for my car. Thank you for the oil in my car.
I found myself doing that, like in the 21 days, the few times I got to come. I got to like where I was just like, I'm out of ideas. Like, God, you got anything I can pray for? Sure enough, something would pop in my head.
Right.
So, thanks, God.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. I think when it comes to the time of prayer and, how do we make time? My dad's favorite saying when I was growing up all the time, drove me nuts, and now I say it to my kids, but you have time for what you make time for, right? And it is the simplest, one of the simplest and most profound statements my dad's ever said. The others were, don't get married and don't have kids. And I didn't listen to either of those. So I did finally listen to this one, but you have time for what you make time for, right? Absolutely true. No matter what's happening in your life, you absolutely have time for the things that you make time for. And I think that's what it means when it comes to praying intentionally. The second thing is, again, something Steffi touched on, is praying continually. I think you already mentioned it. Like, she brought up this idea of pray in the morning and start the conversation with God. And then as you go throughout your day, like, you can send up little short text prayers to God of like, oh, help me not curse this person who's been driving down 460 today. Because, there's moments, right? Help me not to strangle my children, because they're screaming about the pants that, have fit for forever, fit yesterday, that apparently don't fit now. They're the most uncomfortable things in the world.
Or the ones that don't fit anymore, but they still have to wear them.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
That's what happens at my house.
the one that got us this morning was the giant hole in the knee. Gigantic hole in the knee that you thought you were going to wear those pants to school. Like, you have 12 other pairs of pants that fit that don't have holes.
The one they want to wear.
Right? And how often do we talk about this? Come on. Like, you thought you were going to get away with that? Like, come on. I won't tell you which of my kids, but it might have been the blonde one. Oh, well, I would never call his name out,
Owen?
right? I would never call his name out, right? His
That's
hair
the one
color is
I'm
a different
talking
story.
about in my house.
Might be something in the name. Might be a thing.
He wears his Parkway t-shirt like every other day, and it's getting really small, but I can't tell him not to wear it 'cause it's a Parkway t-shirt. So if it was any other shirt, I would just throw it away.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, he's representing Parkway. It's school. It's public school. So
Yeah, Owen's got one that we finally had to tell him he can't wear to church anymore because it's just so disgusting and ratty. It's like a great Parkway shirt, but dude, come on.
why is it that the staff kids typically are the ones that are the grungiest?
Well, Christine,
There's some exceptions to that on our staff, but
it's not untrue. Christine has this theory that staff kids are feral, and it's kind of
There's
true.
something to that.
We were even talking the other day about like summer around here, like the staff
that's
kids.
The worst.
Like, we've got so many that are similar ages. Like, we just stick them in a room, and they either will keep each other alive or murder each other. Like, it's kind of fun just to see what's going to happen.
Throw 'em in there.
See who's
and
left
what
at the end.
Yeah, we'll see who survives. It'll make them stronger. Man, how did I get down on that road? But that's right. We were talking about praying continually, and Steffi's idea of starting your day with prayer, and just as you go throughout your day, like, these are probably the least profound prayers. Like, if somebody actually heard them, like, they would think you're just talking to yourself. Like, they wouldn't assume that you're praying. Like, hey, thank you, God, for that green light, right? Thank you for, this lunch I'm about to eat. Thank you for providing that. Thank you for, the heat in my car, right? Because that's not always a thing. Sometimes my truck doesn't like to warm up. I did learn in 21 Days of Prayer, my truck does not like below 20 degrees. That was a fun thing to find out. Just all those little things. And this is not a scheduled thing. This is kind of that idea of praying first by Chris Hodges, of in any moment, right? Whatever's happening, your reaction should be prayer, right? And kind of living in this state of prayer. Cody's going to read a verse from First Thessalonians. I prepped him on it before. He totally knew he was going to do this. 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. Go ahead and read that for us, Cody.
Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus.
Yeah. So what I love about that is it's not pray when you get up, pray when you go to bed, pray when it's time for food.
And you're never done.
Right? Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
Always, continually, all circumstances, right? And then he caps it off with, this is God's will for you. Like, so there's no getting out of it. It's like, period, done. Like, it's a command. It sounds like it's not a command. And then it's like,
It's one of those
then he
sneaky
throws like, this is God's will. Like, you got to do this, right? What I love about that is it just gives that idea of being constantly in prayer, right? And just having a constant line of communication open to God. You don't have to, like, stop and get away from everybody and everything when it's time, like, oh, I need to pray now. Like, you don't have to do that, right? It can just be these quick little moments
Have
of
you
prayer.
ever checked your phone to see how many times you pick up your phone every day?
I have. It's not a great thing to look
Yeah,
at.
when you monitor your kids and how many times they pick up their phone, you're like, what? And then you look at yours and you're like, okay, I got a few too. So imagine every time you pick up your phone, okay, what if every time you talk to God, like if it was hundreds of times a day? It's really
that's
simple to
good.
pick
Yeah.
up your phone,
Yeah.
to look at it, and you're monitoring that on your iPhone or whatever phone you have. So think about if those pickups were like God moments,
Yeah.
I always get my screen time notification right as I'm sitting down at the drums for 9 a.m. Sunday service. I'm like, you got to slap me with that right now?
It's cold, man. Don't do that to me.
10 hours could
Yeah.
be in 1 day.
8 hours?
What's really scary is when you look at what you spent all that time
Oh,
on.
gosh.
Like, that's a terrifying thing. But, that's a great point. So what would it be like? I'm going to flip it a little bit. What would it be like if every time you went to pick up your phone, you just fired off a quick prayer to God? Like, even if
Good
it's something simple, like there's always something you can say thank you for, right?
Thank you for the phone.
Yeah, thank you for this phone. Thank you for this person who's texting me, right? Thank you for the fact that they're texting me and not in person right now and having this conversation that they're angry about, right? Whatever it is, what would it be like if you just took that time and built that discipline into your life of, like, every time my phone buzzes, every time I touch it, every time I go to pull it out of my pocket, whatever it is, what if you just took that second and just told God thank you for something, right? What would that change in your heart? And I think it would make a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's certainly not going to hurt. It might make you really think about how often you pick up your phone.
I have a work phone that probably needs prayer every time it rings. 'Cause it's never good, and it's on the floor over there.
Lord help me.
Yeah,
Yeah, always bad news coming from that
pretty
one.
much.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I want to leave us today, is just with those thoughts. And I think the real key is that quote is, hopefully this sticks in your head like it has in mine from Chris. The goal of being focused and committed to prayer is relationship, not religion, right?
What Chris was that?
Chris
what
Hodges, author of Pray First. Telling you, one of these days, this is
Say it
going to
enough.
pop up. If Chris Hodges has Facebook, one of these days, it's just going to pop up, and it's going to be this perfect little God moment, and he's going to see me holding up his book just like this, and we're like, I should talk to that guy. I'll bet he needs a sponsor. One of these days, it's going to happen. I'm going to believe. But we just want to encourage you. This is not a Old Testament talks about God desires obedience more than sacrifice, right? So this is not checking a box. Prayer is not checking a box and doing things for the sake of, oh, God told me to do this, so I did it, right? Prayer, the intent of prayer is to connect you with your Creator, right? And so that he can make you more like him. That's the end goal. So this is not I got up, every day for 21 days at 4 o'clock in the morning and prayed, high five me. Great, way to go. Did you get closer to Jesus?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the point. That's why we did this, right? So that's why we pray. So I want to encourage you, wherever you're at, wherever you're starting from, start with that in mind of, I'm going to pray. I'm going to make this difference. I'm going to take this step, not to make myself feel good, right? Not to check a box and say, like, I'm a better Christian because I prayed more. Like, go me. It's to get closer to your Creator. So wherever you're at, just be encouraged. And I just want to challenge you. If it's 10 minutes, if it's 5 minutes, if it's an extra 2 minutes, if you miss a day, whatever, make intentional time to pray this week. Whatever that works for you, whatever your schedule looks like. Schedules can be crazy. Schedules are very different. Maybe you work third shift and you get off work at 4 a.m. or something crazy like that. Whatever it is, make intentional time to pray this week and just see what a difference it makes. Because if you get through this week, maybe you hit 5 out of 7 days this week getting up early to pray. Well, maybe you hit 6 next week, right? And then maybe 2 weeks from now, you only hit 3, and then you jump back on the horse and you get to 7, right? Whatever it is, keep that goal in mind of being focused on your Creator. One thing I forgot to mention, baptism on the 9th, Super Bowl Sunday, where the refs will make sure the Chiefs get another Super Bowl ring for Patrick Mahomes, I have no doubt.
There'll be a little Weddle in that one.
There will
First
be a
time
little
ever.
Yeah, we're
In the
baptizing a little Weddle.
Little Weddle.
I
Little
love
Ellie.
it.
Yay.
Aw.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to get out of the drums watch and make the drums drum.
Drum.
Yeah, we'll
I'll
find
call
a
in
way.
a sub for.
We might call in a sub. We'll make well, John will probably be in the tank. I'll make Dustin get in the drums and
You won't be able to get them out.
yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. If you're interested in baptism, or if you know somebody who might be interested in baptism as their next step, if you've put your faith in Jesus and never been baptized, or you feel like that's your next step, go to parkroanoke.com/baptism. You can text us. We'll get you hooked up with Cassidy. She'll give you all the information, all the details. If you have questions about that, she's the person to talk to. But that is happening February the 9th. Baptisms are always fun days. I love that. I mean, what better day? We're going to be baptizing people in Super Bowl or like football jerseys. That's going to be a great day. I'm looking forward to that. But I put that in the notes and then completely missed it, and then talked about Gather, which was not in my notes, which I'm glad we talked about. So gather25.com. Tell somebody about it, and get your tickets somewhere on our website. If not,
And
it will
they're
be.
free, by the way. This is not.
Yes, your free tickets.
Just have to register, so we don't have not enough seats for people.
Right. I would love to tell you that there'll be. I would love to have to close down registration because there's too many people that are coming. That would be a fantastic
Praying
problem.
for that, right?
Yes, I think it's going to be a great problem to have. But we got ways of fitting people in. So thanks for joining us for another episode of Midweek Motivation. The second one in a week. A little bit longer than the last one we did on Sunday. That was a little bit different. I kind of like doing it not with a studio audience, but we'll take it. So thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Midweek Motivation. Have a great week and stay motivated.